Hey folks, Bob Barnes here. Just wanted to show you an issue that I'm having with my Mavic 3 Cine. It's happened ever since the day I owned it. I purchased it back in February of 2022, and I was hoping it was going to be solved with the latest firmware upgrade, and I have upgraded to the latest. I believe it's 00.01.0600. But it's been happening with previous firmware versions as well as the current one, and it's this aircraft not connected to RC error message that you see, where this happens to me periodically on every flight I've ever tried. Sometimes it happens before the aircraft even takes off. Sometimes it happens in the middle of the flight. More often than not, it will certainly happen as I'm landing the drone. So let me jump in, show you some testing that I did the other day, and I'm curious to see if anyone else is experiencing these same issues. So this is after a 13-minute flight that I flew around, had no issues. I got a quick GPS lock. Everything seemed normal, and now I'm about to land the aircraft, and you'll see as I get close to the ground, all of a sudden the image will freeze. It's coming up right here. See, the image froze, and I'll eventually get there's the error message, aircraft not connected to RC. And although you can't see it on the screen recording, the drone is still responding to the controls for a few seconds, maybe 10-15 seconds, and then eventually it won't even respond to controls. But you'll see when the picture comes back here that the drone has actually already landed. It landed on that table, and I'm back in business after landing it. So now that this has happened, I'm trying to figure out what is causing it. So I don't make any changes to the drone or the remote control, no settings changes, and I take off again, do a quick spin around once I'm up a couple hundred feet, make sure it's responding to my inputs and I'm getting good video transmission. Everything seems to be normal. I'll speed up the flight here, and then this time I decide let's try an automatic return to home, see how that works. And then you can see just as it's about to land, it once again has the same issue. So you can see here the image freezes again, let's go, freezes again, and then this time I actually get the error message, and it stays in this state for a good 30 seconds or so. And as I mentioned, right now you can't see it, but I am able to control the aircraft for 5 or 10 more seconds or so, maybe 15 tops. Then it stops responding to my commands and then automatically lands itself if I haven't landed it in the meantime. So once again, I take back off without making any changes, and just make sure that it's responsive to my controls. I'm getting good video transmission. I take it on yet another short flight to see how it'll perform. So as I start to descend and just about ready to land, I get a warning that I've got a low battery warning. And you'll see here, as soon as I get that, all of a sudden, I'm disconnected again from my remote control. And as always, I have a few seconds worth of controllability while it's in the air. And then eventually all controls stop responding. And then eventually the drone lands on its own. So now that I've got a fresh battery in here, I take it on a series of short flights where I just go up for a few feet, sometimes only 40-50 feet, sometimes up to a couple hundred feet. I'll do a quick spin around, just check that it's responsive to controls, and then bring it right back down and land it. And again, you can see here I'm hovering just a few feet off the ground, and then I get disconnected again. Okay, so this time I take it again, no settings changes. I take another quick flight, little ascension, and this time I decide I'll go ahead and land it further away from myself out in that middle of this field and try to see if there's any changes. And again, as soon as I come close to landing, it disconnects from the remote and has the same issue. And this time, with the drone just sitting there in the field, I also get this, it disconnects a couple of times just sitting on the ground, not doing anything. Okay, again, without making any settings changes, I go ahead and start to take off. And now you can see there's a little freeze for a moment. And now, again, the screen is frozen and I lose connectivity. I'm 36 feet up and eventually have to bring the drone back down because it's lost connectivity with the remote. So now I try to make some settings changes here. I come to the transmission menu and I change my frequency from dual band to 5.8 gigahertz only. And as soon as I do that, the problem seems to go away. Now I'm able to take off, I can fly around, I can land, and I don't get the remote disconnected from the aircraft error message. I decide to switch it back to dual band while it's in flight and see what happens here. And shortly after I do that, as I'm starting to land, once again, I get the error message. Okay, now I switch it back to 5.8 gigahertz and see if the issue seems to go away again. And sure enough, I'm able to take off. I'm able to hover. Looks like I'm about 50 feet off the ground here. I'm able to hover back and forth. The controls are responsive. Video transmission seems fine. And as I try to land it, again, no issues whatsoever with the disconnection from the remote control as long as I'm at using only 5.8 gigahertz. So now I start to experience yet another strange issue here. So you see I'll switch back to 2.4 and almost immediately get the issue. And what you don't see here, because the transmission is going in and out, is I had lifted the drone up off the air a short height, and I want to go change it back to 5.8 gigahertz while in flight, and I'm still getting the aircraft not connected. So I decided to go back into the transmission menu again to verify I'm on 5.8 gigahertz, and you'll see now I don't even have a frequency menu. I've got HDMI output and channel mode, but between those two is supposed to be the frequency menu item, and it's not even there. So now I'm thinking, oh, wait a minute, maybe that's disabled during flight, forgetting that I had actually switched them successfully in flight earlier in the day. So I bring it back down and try to look at the transmission menu again. And now this time when I go in, I try to change it to 5.8 gigahertz. Go back, I immediately get the issue. And when I go back to transmission, the section is missing. So now the aircraft isn't even running. It's on, but there's, the propellers aren't even moving. And I keep trying to switch to 5.8, but now realizing that the switch isn't actually happening. And I go to dual band, and yeah, you can see now it did work to dual band, and now I go to 5.8. Try to 5.8 again. I switch back to the screen, not connected, and when I go back into the menu, once again it's back to dual band. It's not even switching. So this is yet another problem. Eventually it does switch to 5.8, but you have to keep doing that and then going back into the menu to confirm that your switch actually took place in terms of the frequency. You can see it now, it's back to dual band again. I try 5.8 gigahertz again. I switch back to the I sit there for a moment, and then I think I'm all set. And once again, it's disconnected. I go back into the transmission menu again. Okay, now I go back in and I see that there's no frequency section again. And that may actually be a function of it's not getting anything back at all from the drone. So it doesn't even know what frequency it is, but the menu's not even there. And then I go in again, I check 5.8 gigahertz. And this time I go ahead and take off. And once again, I'm able to hover, control it, and when I'm in 5.8 gigahertz only, everything seems fine. And then as I bring it back down, again, no problems. I'm able to land. Okay, after I land, I double check that I am at 5.8 gigahertz and I haven't seen anywhere switching on its own or something like that. And I decide to do a couple more runs just at 5.8 to see if it really is actually working without issue. And again, it seems to be fine when it's only running on 5.8 gigahertz. I can hover, I can come up and down. As I come down to land, you can see here, no issues whatsoever. Okay, so then this is my last attempt landing with 5.8 gigahertz. Again, no issues whatsoever. I've now done 3 or 4 very short flights at 5.8 gigahertz. And I said I'm going to flip now back to 2.4 gigahertz and try it again. And almost immediately after switching frequencies, I get the error message. And at this point, the aircraft isn't even running, right? The propellers aren't spinning. It's on, but it's not spinning. And then I take off again, and you can see already that I'm getting interruptions in the video transmission, and then aircraft not connected. Yeah, even at hovering at only 7 feet. So it seems clear to me that the issue really is a 2.4 gigahertz issue. I'm not really sure what's going on. Like I said, when I first started this video, the first 13 minutes that I flew in dual band mode, I had no issues whatsoever. But the moment I tried to land, as I got close to landing, this issue started to occur. And you noticed here that although it did occur at different points here and there, it really seems to, I'll say, trigger the issue if you're coming in for a landing and you're getting close to the ground. I don't know if it's some sort of a software issue between the sensors and the 2.4 gigahertz transmission, or if I actually have a defective unit or anything else like that. But I am curious if anybody out there is experiencing the same issue. In fact, I'm getting ready to return this drone to DJI to have them evaluate it, because clearly it's not operating the way it should, and right now it's untrustworthy. Yeah, let me know if you have the same problem.